The notion that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity may seem like a far-fetched concept, but it is an idea that has been perpetuated by some conservative Christian groups. This ideology suggests that the media's focus on climate change is not about raising awareness of an environmental issue, but rather a thinly veiled attempt to undermine Christian values and promote a secular, liberal agenda. Proponents of this idea argue that the media's emphasis on global warming is part of a larger effort to remove God from the public sphere and replace him with a new deity, the earth. They claim that the environmental movement, which is often associated with the political left, is inherently at odds with Christian teachings, which emphasize human dominion over the natural world. By promoting the idea that humans are responsible for climate change, the media is, in effect, suggesting that humans are capable of destroying the earth, and therefore are more powerful than God. Furthermore, some argue that the media's focus on global warming is an attempt to supplant traditional Christian values with a new set of secular, environmental values. This is often referred to as the Green Agenda, which prioritizes the well-being of the planet over the well-being of humans. Critics argue that this agenda is rooted in a pagan, earth-worshipping ideology that is incompatible with Christian teachings. They point to the fact that many environmentalists and scientists who speak out about climate change often use language that is rooted in spirituality and reverence for the natural world, which they see as a threat to Christian doctrine. Another argument made by those who believe that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity is that the issue is being used to promote a global, socialist agenda. They argue that the solutions to climate change, such as reducing carbon emissions and transitioning to renewable energy, will require a level of government control and regulation that is antithetical to Christian values of individual freedom and limited government. They point to the fact that many of the international agreements aimed at addressing climate change, such as the Paris Agreement, are seen as attempts to impose a global, one-size-fits-all solution to the problem, which they believe will erode national sovereignty and individual liberty. In addition, some Christian groups argue that the media's focus on global warming is an attempt to distract from more pressing moral issues, such as abortion and same-sex marriage. They believe that by focusing on climate change, the media is able to avoid discussing issues that are more directly relevant to Christian values, and instead promote a secular, liberal agenda that is at odds with traditional Christian teachings. However, it is worth noting that many Christians and Christian organizations are actively engaged in the effort to address climate change and see it as a moral imperative. They argue that caring for the earth is a fundamental aspect of Christian stewardship, and that the Bible teaches humans to be responsible caretakers of the natural world. They point to passages such as Psalm 24:1, which states that the earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, and Genesis 2:15, which instructs humans to take care of the Garden of Eden. In conclusion, while the idea that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity may seem like a fringe concept, it is an idea that has been perpetuated by some conservative Christian groups. However, it is essential to recognize that many Christians are actively engaged in the effort to address climate change and see it as a moral imperative. Rather than viewing the issue as a threat to Christian values, they believe that caring for the earth is a fundamental aspect of Christian stewardship. Ultimately, the debate over global warming and Christianity highlights the complex and often contentious relationship between faith, science, and politics in modern society.